Hello, Uniform Oz here. Thanks for joining me in the studio today. And what am I doing? Well, dog's here under the table, wants a cuddle. I am going to make yet another journal. Why? Because I can. I'm working in 6 or 7 journals for this year at the moment. Some were old books, some I made, some I just slapped together really quickly. But I really like the new style of journals, well, I wouldn't say they're new style, that have ledger paper in them. I really like working on ledger paper, whether it's written or non-written. So what I've got here is I actually have a selection of original ledger papers. I don't know where this one came from. It could be pharmaceutical, saying that it has copy of prescription, and it's from, I do believe, 1924. Beautiful, beautiful original handwriting. I'm going to make 2 journals. One I'm using paper in the landscape format, and the other I'm using in the portrait format. I'm going to cut pieces of this because it's quite wide, roughly to A4. It won't be perfectly even, so that's double-sided. This one is from the Ohio Railroad Company. This one's a little thin, so the thinner ones I'm actually going to back with some of my home printed journal paper. There's another one from the Ohio Railroad. That one's quite blank. Again, that's from, I can't even pronounce it. Somewhere in America. That's, again, will need backing. That's from 1965. This one's from 65. Here's a piece of ledger paper that it's old, but it's not written on. I'm going to actually use it like that because I want it in a landscape format. And there's another piece I had. So I'm going to cut these down, and I'll probably use these as is. I've got a selection of printed ones. So these are ones I've printed myself. This one I bought. It's printed on a finer paper. I may use that as is, or I may back them because they're blank. Not technically ledger paper, but that. So this has got some script and writing on it. Another printed one. So I'm sort of trying to get enough papers together to, some of these I'll use as backing, some of them I'll use as they are. Trying to get enough papers together so I can make a journal. I will sew it down the centre with a sewing machine because that is my favourite option. It's easy, it's neat, and my dear sewing machine can do that. So I'm going to get my papers together. I'm going to cut them all to A4 and start from there. So come along with me and see what we can create today. So here's what I've done so far. Here are my original ledger papers. Some of them are short. They're not all the full height. They're generally the same width. I didn't want to waste any of them, so I thought I'd just cut some of the bigger ones in half, and they'll just be a mishmash of sizes. So I've got a selection of those, and these ones I've actually glued back to back. So these were original French receipts. This one's from 1939, this one's from 1938. Because they were on quite thin paper, I glued them together. Yeah, I didn't glue them straight, but you get that. It is a junk journal after all, so they'll just be folded in half as such. I got these railroad ones. They were quite thin. I've actually just glued them to a replica print. The replica print paper was quite fibrous, not as nice as copy paper, but it's certainly going to do the job, and I've firmed that up. Same with this one. Again, I have just put it onto a printed copy of a receipt. These ones, same type of print paper, but I've actually just glued them onto my own print of on A5 paper, and same with this one, again printed onto A5. I will trim the white borders off, this one and this one, because they're not looking good. What I'll do is I'll just trim them up. I'm not fussed if they're not all perfect even sizes, because to me that is part of the joy of that. This one I might actually put it smack in the middle of the journal, only because it's a real short. I'll see how I go. So I'm going to trim these up and then start arranging how I'm going to put my papers together. Oh, and I have to work out what I'm going to do for the cover. I might do just a scrapbooking paper cover, which is a lot thicker. It's a light card or a heavy card, and then I can use that to help hold the journal together and also maybe decorate the front. Okay, let's move on. Now, I've put it together and I've stitched it together, and that's one of the drawbacks of using a sewing machine. You really only get one shot. So I did clip it, and hopefully it's worked. I might have to just ease it into shape here. It's reasonably thickish, it's not super thin. I didn't want it to be too thick or too thin. So I think the pages have worked well. Whether I will paint or collage, I have no idea. I do tend to just make it up as I go along. I would like the idea of painting, art journaling in here, but I think because of the porous papers, I will have to seal it to some degree, or maybe I'll just do some collage. So I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. Yes, it's not perfectly even, but it's a junk journal, so I don't want it to be. And I want it to have a little bit of a life of its own, which it certainly has. So yeah, I think that's worked for the moment. I will now go along. I think it's got 20 pages all up, 10 pages each side. I quite like the cover. I think the darkness will give me good. I'm going to now decorate the cover. Whether I punch the corners, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll think about that. That's round the corners. Anyway, the journal is together. It didn't take that long. The longest thing was trying to work out what sequence to put the papers in, but I think it's worked out okay. It's a nice size. It's around a little bit bigger than A5. I made the cover a fraction bigger, only so I could allow for the journal creep, and I think that's worked really well. So now I'm going to decorate the front cover, maybe a little bit on the back, and then we'll go from there.